back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products, and of course the people that are making a difference as we move towards 2050. And why 2050? In 2050, we'll have about 9 billion souls on the planet. Climate change will be accelerating at an ever-increased pace. And we have to figure out how we're going to provide the food, the fuel, the fiber, and the basic infrastructure for all these people. And that basic infrastructure goes beyond just roads and bridges and ports and airplanes, but also the education and the health care and all the other things. And we have a gentleman who's really working on this area as far as the energy is concerned. And we're going to talk with him a little bit about looking at the energy that he's actually focused on, which is somewhat surprising, and at the same time how he's matching that, creating energy and looking at sustainable nutrition. So this is Dr. Damon S. Walia. He is the president, CEO of ARCTECH, Inc. And Damon, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Well, thank you very much.
And tell us a little bit about your company, ARCTECH, and then we're going to talk about the unique focus that your company has that many other people have been actually forgetting about over the last 20 or 30 years.
Well, our company's focus is on the biotechnology and especially, focused on creating what I call balanced sustainability solutions using coal as a feedstock. And our solutions are designed to meet the needs of our 7 billion people today and growing to 9 billion, and at the same time, meeting the needs of the planet. I kind of describe, what you see on the slide there, that our 7 billion of us, we have certain, must-haves and our wants, desires. Same way we have for our planet, what we must have and want and desires. So our focus is more on the must-haves. In terms of our human needs, the energy, food, water, and shelter, of course. And in the case of planet, to maintain our, the healthy soils, the water, the atmosphere.
Yeah, and what you're doing, Damon, is you're trying to balance this whole notion of the human needs, but at the same time, we really tend to forget that the planet itself has its own needs. We think it kind of cures itself. Yeah. But when you're going from 7 to 9 billion new people, and then we're saying the planet's going to take care of itself, it'll heal and cure itself, and the answer may be no. And so looking at your system and the types of innovation and technology you're developing, how are you actually helping the planet to cure itself and to sustain and take care of the 9 billion people we'll have by 2050?
Well, as I mentioned, our focus is using coal as a feedstock. The why coal? Coal, everybody is now...
I'm going to stop you right there because, coal is really, is something that most people don't even want to talk about, let alone use. And there are a number of countries around the world that we won't even talk about. They're using lots and lots of coal. This was really the fossil fuel. This was the carbon of, the 19th and the 20th century, a little bit back, of course, back in the 18th century. But, it's like you're reverting back to where we were, but yet you're saying this is really one of the most advanced ways to move society forward, both from energy but also from nutrition.
That is correct.
How do you extract that and balance these two out?
Well, first, I'm intrigued with coal because this is the lowest cost carbon we have, available to all of us on all continents. That's the number one, and it's a plentiful. And this coal has been the basis of our first industrial revolution, which has brought us to where we are today. And we become wiser. We have learned that with our approach of using it has caused us some challenges. So we need to now look at another approach. So what really we have created a way out by which we can take coal using a biotechnology to convert it into clean fuels, as well as organic.
And I think they call it syn fuels, right? Synthetic fuels?
Not
Is
really.
that another name?
Well, you can call it a synthetic fuel because anything you make, would be, come into that category. So we can make into gas, we can convert this into diesel or jet fuels, or it can be converted into chemicals. But the most important, what we have done is coal is essentially being of a plant origin, is made up of humic material, which is the same as in the soil organic matter. So we actually have a plant here in Virginia. We're producing these products which are being used for growing foods. We can take.
Let's stop for just 1 minute, Damon. We're talking about humic. This is something that we've not really talked about on the Emerald Planet. We've talked about biochar, biomass.
Right.
We've talked about different products out there. But this thing about humic material, for the non-scientists out there, what is humic material?
Well, this is the most unique to our planet. This is essentially what makes our planet to be viable, as well as makes us viable. It's we generally call it a humus. The word comes from the Romans. They recognize that the soils which are rich in humic matter, you can put a seed in there and harvest very quickly. And so, this has been known. It's something our planet, the soil systems have been blessed with having this organic humic material, but we're depleting it. There's been a rapid loss of this humus material from the soils. So coal being of a plant origin, we have learned to make into a humic material, which can be then used to replenish the soils. And it's been approved by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, for growing organic foods, EPA. We have a number of government approvals. We then also make into another product, which is a water filter. And the third thing, which is to me still is astonishing, even though I've done it, that we convert using this material to convert bombs and explosives into fertilizer.
Oh, that's absolutely incredible. And I really want to go back to these approvals that you have, because I think most people, when you say coal and approved for growing food,
yes,
and that you have the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, you have the United States Environmental Protection Agency, and others all saying that this is something that's viable, it's good for the planet, and many people are saying, really?
Well, not only that, we have an approval in China from the Bureau of Ag. In fact, my product is currently being used in China. And so this is really, we've done it really very systematic science, and and produced the data as well as information to make a case that the products we are making are safe. And the other underpinning of this whole approach is to create what I call a total value chain use. So what you're seeing on your screen right now is where we can apply this to the mine coals, as well as there's a huge amount of coal which still is unminable. Coal is like an iceberg. We only see one part. The 9 parts are below.
Yeah, we're looking at the coal, and as far as extraction, there's been a great movement against, the mountaintop mining of coal, where you're just literally cutting off it and then pushing it down into the valleys below. And then, of course, you have the deep sea mining, but also then you have the open pit mining. So looking at coal, looking at the various sources of coal, how do we balance that and make sure that we're, really enhancing what's going on in the environment, and we're not decreasing or degrading the environment in any way by using coal?
Well, see, number one, we need to help coal companies to make a lot more money. So far, they're just working on a very, very low margins. With my technology, we created 250 times more value from a ton of coal than they do it now. So they have more funds to be able to address all of these issues. I'm not for mining coal in a way which will cause environmental issues. We can do it
because we all have to live on the same planet, regardless of what's going on.
Right, and also we are being able to inject these microbes into the unminable coal and produce gas, so we don't have to send the miners into these deep into the holes, which is really, I've been in the coal mines on my knees, so I know. So here is what you're seeing on your screen is right now an example of use of my product for growing soybean in Minnesota. And here is a farmer who used this product, and you can just see from the size of the soybeans are bigger. He's gotten a 20% increase in yield. The nitrogen content in the soybean is almost 18-20% higher, which means that these soybeans are high in proteins. This is just one example. If you go on my website, you will see many examples of use of my product in all over the world.
Damon, let's just stop right here looking at this. Okay, so we increase the productivity by 15-20%.
Right.
We're increasing the size, also the protein values of that. What does that mean for a farmer, say, in Nigeria or India or Uganda or Vietnam, all these places? What does that mean to them as far as lifestyle and income, and then also investment back into the community?
See, biggest challenge in farmers in these countries have been their subsistence farmer. So they make only enough to just feed themselves. And whereas in our Western countries, we have farmers with a very large, tracts of lands, and they are, production farmers. So with our approach, we can help them to increase yield, get a higher value for their products, and so they can actually be making money instead of just, subsistence. So countries like India, big challenge, they cannot add any more farmland.
Well, actually, it's decreasing because of going down into the aquifers.
Right,
or now putting water that has high salt content, and so you're actually decreasing constantly the amount of land available, not just by population expansion and growth of cities and townships and housing, but at the same time is just actually taking agricultural lands out of production. So in what you're doing, how can you take these millions of acres, say in a country of India, and actually bring them back into productivity?
Well, see, we can take, like in Egypt, for example, our product is being used to, increase the tolerance to the high salinity. Because even in Egypt, all that fertile land is, they've now built up metropolis. So the farmers are out there in the desert land, cultivating, and they're doing wonders. But it's, taking a lot of water. So our product is helping them to, deal with arid conditions, in terms of dealing with the salinity issues. This is a remarkable science. It's nothing new. Our nature has been using this science for centuries. And so all we have done is used our modern science technology to kind of bring it to a point, in a mode so that it can be applied and be made available to the farmers all over the world.
Damon, we only have about 15 seconds left. What do you see for the future of ARCTECH over the next 10, 15, 20 years?
Well, I want to, basically I believe that we have a way to create a next industrial revolution, and we want to build these coal plants all over the world.
Okay, that's fantastic, because you're taking a natural resource right now that really is worldwide. Many people are against it. What you're doing is bringing it back into vogue with new technologies. And thank you for being with us as we're looking for new technologies, best practices as we create the Emerald Planet.
Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, Emerald Planet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet, Dr. Sam Lee Hancock.
Hello, and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, services, and products that are going to be used as we move through the 21st century. And as we look at a planet that's adding 2 billion new people by 2050, how we're going to be able to provide the food, the fuel, the fiber to be able to handle that. And when we'll have a planet with some 9 billion people, and then by the end of the century, maybe as many as 12 to 13 billion people. And so I have a young man sitting with me in the studio that's actually working on this issue and has been on Emerald Planet before. And this is, let me get my notes here. This is Dr. Damon S. Walia, who is the President CEO of ARCTECH Inc. That's in Washington, D.C. But the gentleman that we're bringing in from Skype, from Cairo, Egypt, this is Sadat Bey Somalia. He's the president of Hotco Energy. And also he's doing consulting work with ARCTECH. And this is called MIC Gas Coal Biotechnology Demonstration Project for the Turkish coal enterprises, so of Ankara, Turkey. So anyway, Sadat Bey, welcome to the Emerald Planet TV.
Hi, how are you?
We're glad to have you, and we've heard many good things about your work in Turkey, and so Thank you for being able to come on this early in the morning and share with us. But tell us a little bit about both your Hotco Energy, your own company, and then also about this MIC gas coal biotechnology demonstration project there in Turkey.
Okay. Our project aim is the application and demonstration of biotechnology on coal, especially low calorific value of coal in Turkey. This is very important for us. There's a problem about approximately more than 20 billion tons of coal reserve in Turkey, because more than half of this reserve is low calorific value of coal for energy production, which is lower than 2,000 calories. We need to increase the value of this coal. So we start the project. Okay.
Well, looking at the work, I know that you're working with the what is it called, the Turkish Coal Enterprises there in Ankara. Tell us about that, because coal is looked upon as being a 19th and 20th century energy source. But now with Damon's work in Washington, D.C. and working with you there in Turkey, this is actually morphing into something that's very new and high tech. So why the emphasis on coal?
I want to summarize. After some contact with ARCTECH company and tests in their laboratory in the United States, we saw that ARCTECH MIC gas coal biotechnology, we could solve this problem of how to convert low value of coal into higher economic values in industry products. And then we informed this to Turkish Coal Enterprise. After that, the general manager of TKI, Turkish Coal Enterprise, firstly with the ARCTECH, the Turkish Coal Enterprise general manager visited the ARCTECH laboratories in Washington, D.C. Then he presented this wonderful project to the Minister of Energy in Turkey. Mr. Taner Yıldız, our minister, who is the Minister of Energy, invited ARCTECH company, Dr. Damon Valia, to Turkey for 5 years ago, approximately 2009. The first aim of this project was to increase the economic value of low calorific value of coal into higher values of biogas, methane for energy production. But we saw that with this MIC gas biotechnology, not only just methane is producing, but also some agricultural fertilizers and other industrial products, byproducts, successfully produced. So we continue. Okay.
Looking at this demonstration project with the Turkish Coal Enterprises, what is the need in Turkey for not only new energy sources, but really to boost the productivity of the agricultural lands and also the nutritional value of the crops, the fruits and vegetables that are being grown in Turkey?
Okay. According to our experiments and applications of this MIC gas biotechnology of this Turkish coal, we saw that 6 different products we could produce with the application of this project. The first one is production of biogas, as I mentioned, methane gas. From, for example, 1 ton of coal, we produce 60 meters cube of methane, which is then used for energy project or production of energy. The second one is organic fertilizer or humic acid products of ARCTECH for agriculture, and we produce approximately 800 gallons of it from 1 ton of coal itself. And we also need to increase the organic content of soil in our country. The best way to increase this organic value is adding humic acid to agricultural land. Our estimation is that we need at least 150 million gallons of humic acid products of ARCTECH for Turkish agricultural land. The third product was liquid adsorbent that's called Humazob-Al, which could catch the carbon dioxide or some toxic materials from water. we produce approximately 430 liters from 1 ton of coal that also at the same time. The fourth one is also Himazov CS, calcified or granulated absorbent material, which is also catching heavy toxic material from water. We also produce more than 94 kilogram of Himazov CS from 1 ton of coal at the same time. The fifth one is actodemyl. Actodemyl that could easily destroy all the explosive materials into fertilizer. We also produce 340 kilograms from 1 ton of coal. The last one is the Acto Detox product that is also very useful for poultry, chicken farms, that kills all the pathogens and destroys bad smells of manure. For all 6 products, we could produce from 1 ton of coal at the same time. So we start some application tests in Turkey.
I tell you, I think it's absolutely incredible the number of different products that you're able to take out of coal. And again, as I was saying earlier, many people are saying we just need to abandon coal altogether or greatly diminish its use. But I think with what you're doing with ARCTECH in Washington, D.C., and with the innovative project that you have there in Ankara, Turkey, that you're actually showing the world that coal really actually has a very bright future and can be used for many useful products, and at the same time address climate change and environmental quality. And I think that's actually what you were just saying. Dr. Walia, would you like to ask the next question?
Well, yeah, Sadat Bey, good morning. I again very much appreciate your being up at almost 1:30 a.m.
Good morning, Diamond. How are you?
Good. Yeah, Sunny, I'll, please tell the audience as to what kind of tests we have done with these products in Turkey and what kind of results which these products are showing. So just give us a little understanding on that.
Could you please explain it again? I couldn't hear you.
Just give us a little bit, briefing on as to what kind of tests have you done with these products in Turkey, for example, by the TAGM and some of the other institutions, and what kind of results these products have produced.
Dr. Walia, as you know, this big project was not only followed by Ministry of Energy. But also we worked and shared the test results with the laboratories of Ministry of Agriculture, as the name is TAGM in Turkey, Ministry of Defense and Ministry of Health laboratories. And also we followed all the details and we shared the information and test results with the TÜBİTAK, which is the Turkish Science Research Institute. And we used and we shared the same information with some biochemistry and agricultural departments of universities in different universities in Turkey. All of these institutes and universities and the ministries, laboratories help us for this big project.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let Dr. Walia ask the next question, and then I'll finish up. We're just about running out of time.
Well, yeah, just to kind of give your perspective, Sadat Bey, as to what do you see happening in the next 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years? Where do you think this technology can help meet the needs in the Turkey?
Okay, Dr. Walia, as you know, I hope this MIGAS coal biotechnology project is very wonderful and big project and will be demonstrated in a whole Middle East countries and the sub-Turkish republics for following 5 or 10 years or more. And also we have some target of 2023, which is the century anniversary of Turkish Republic announcement. We could reach to apply at least millions of gallons of ARCTECH product for full agricultural lands of Turkey before, I hope, before 2023.
Well, that's really a very ambitious schedule, and we have about just about 30 seconds left. What do you really see for the future of your work, of your organization, and also with the this cooperative demonstration project with the Turkish coal enterprises?
As I mentioned this before, Turkish Enterprise is very positive about the project. We successfully complete all the feasibility reports from 3 sides. Turkish Coal Enterprise did it itself, and one the other company did itself. It yields good, very peaceful, very hopeful results for Turkey future. So we want to continue with this big project. We want to continue with Dr. Walia.
Okay, well, thank you. We're going to lose you right now as we create the Emerald Planet.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Sam Hancock of Emerald Planet, and we're coming to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we're looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. In doing this, we're looking at a population that's going to 9 billion souls on the planet by 2050, and how we're going to be able to provide the food, the fuel, the fiber, and then the basic infrastructure needed by all these new people. And those are remaining as the lifespans continue to extend and the world goes to more urbanization. We have actually 3 gentlemen that we're going to be talking to. Right beside me is Dr. Damon S. Walia. He is the president and CEO of ARCTECH Inc. in Washington, D.C., and then joining us, we have one coming in by Skype, which is Gary Love, the CEO of Verso in Brisbane, Australia, one of my favorite cities and favorite countries on the planet. And then Thomas Matthews, who's the president of the Gasification Technology Reliance Industries out of Mumbai, India. And so we have some really dynamic people. Gary, welcome.
Thanks, Sam. Nice to be with you.
Glad to have you. Tell us a little bit about Verso and what it is you're doing and the innovation and collaboration that you're working through your own organization there in Brisbane, Australia.
Sure. So we were established in 2010, and we've always really been driven by the stranded coal story. And like the US, Australia is blessed with abundant coal resources, but most of them are actually stranded. I think the US Department of Energy estimates that around 90% of the world's fossil energy is in stranded coal. So it does represent a really substantial resource to be utilised, but obviously the question comes now with increasing emissions and a trend away from coal use, that to make use of that coal we really need to be looking at better, cleaner technologies. So our background really started in the coal bed methane sector, and we were looking at stimulation technologies, and we came across the ARCTECH MIT gas technology and realised it had such amazing potential. Really what we're trying to do is create a bridging solution, so we still want to maintain coal use, but doing it in a better way. Obviously, taking the US shale example, there's use of gas as a bridging fuel, but there are still some questions around the environmental impact. So our focus is really about trying to use coal, but do it in a cleaner way to create gas.
Well, I tell you, it's amazing what you're doing, and of course, Australia's been a major trading partner, and we collaborate on just about anything that goes on in the planet these days. So looking at it, we're going to be getting the gentleman on from India shortly, but going on to about what you're doing out there, these coal reserves, we're looking at the map, but for the members who may not be that familiar with the continental Australia. Tell us a little bit about where these are located, how far they are from major seaports, and then what are you doing as you're doing the gasification to be able to use those both within Australia, and or are you starting to export this special type of gas?
Okay, so just to put it into context, the Australian mainland is roughly equivalent to the US mainland. So, you know, it's quite a substantial landmass, and we are blessed with the large amount of coal resources, particularly around the east coast. Now, the Australian gas market's going through an unprecedented change at the moment as we're exposed to the international market. A lot of that's driven by LNG exports, and so in Queensland we're building 3 major LNG terminals, up to 6 trains, and we're trying to do a world first, which is use coalbed methane for LNG export. And what that's doing is it's putting a huge amount of stress on the domestic market, and we have a lot of issues with green groups, community groups really pushing for cleaner coalbed methane, and that's driving up the price substantially. So there is quite a significant market opportunity in that black coal. There's a huge amount of infrastructure going in, so you know, feeding those 3 LNG terminals on the coast is a large network of pipelines and compression stations. So it does represent quite a good market opportunity if we can, you know, get into that coal and make something of it with the MITGAS technology. I think the other thing is we are blessed with conventional gas resources down on the south of the eastern seaboard, but they're in decline. But what the south does have is very large brown coal. In fact, one of the largest brown coal resources in the world is in Victoria. And they estimate some 400 billion tonnes of coal. And you know, some of the work we've been doing with Damon and his team has shown that coal has exceptional potential for gasification using these microbial technologies. So what we're hoping to do is really capitalise on, you know, one, the stress in the system that's starting to emerge with this 3-fold increase in gas demand over the next few years. But we're also looking to, you know, exploit these brown coals in a way that's never been done before.
I tell you, it's exciting what you're doing out there, Gary, and thank you for sharing about that. And of course, Damon has many good things to say about you and your organization. So you're definitely becoming world famous. So thank you. And just hang in there. We have Thomas Matthews, who's the president of Gasification Technology Reliance Industries. This is in Mumbai, India. And I think Thomas is coming in by phone. Thomas, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, it's good to hear your voice, and thank you for joining us.
It's early morning in India.
Oh, I know so. I was just in almost a month in China and Taiwan, so I was going through the very same thing as we were producing the television programs from there. But tell us a little bit about your organization, the Gasification Technology Reliance Industries.
Reliance is number 1 private company in India. It's not very old, it's a very young company, 35 years old. It's all started by our ex-chairman, Dhirubhai Ambani. He was, I hope people know about Reliance history. He was a clerk. He's not even a graduate. He was in a gas station accountant in Eden before World War. And then after World War, he came back to India and started a trading company. Mostly he was trading in spices. Then he started trading in nylon and polyester yarn. He established his own textile company, and there was a backward integration from textiles to refinery. That means polyester textiles, then polyester yarn, from yarn PTA, purified terephthalic acid, then paraxylene required for purified terephthalic acid, and then the refinery. He established petrochemicals, polymer plants, and ethylene naphtha crackers. Ultimately, now the last 10 years we have established the world's largest refinery in India. The refinery has got 2 cokers making pet coke, and it is almost 18,000 tons per day pet coke. So we thought that we should make use of the pet coke, otherwise we are selling it. So the pet coke gasification plants have come up, and it is the technology from ConocoPhillips, just like the Baba's pet coke gasification plant, and the project is under construction now. And Reliance is going through a big expansion.
Well, I think all of this explains why you're the #1 private company in India, and also the tremendous expansion that you've gone through over the last 30 to 40 years. And it sounds like you're utilizing the vast coal resources of India that in many cases is very low grade, but you're making a number of value-added products out of it that's really addressing the needs of India as it continues to expand its economy and its export potential as well. Dr. Dahlia, do you want to go ahead and talk with Gary again?
Well, yeah. Good morning, Gary, and also Thomas. Thomas, I would, if you can just briefly tell about why you have decided to work with us on this big gas coal biotechnology for India. Give us a little your perspective.
If you see our energy mix for the country, we importing a lot of petroleum requirement. Almost 90% of our petroleum requirement is being imported. We have internal the energy is only from coal, but coal is currently not meeting our requirement. We are importing almost 10 to 15 million tons every year. Within the last 3 years, this has gone up. So our energy requirement is more than, it will be to the tune of 200,000 megawatt per year by 2015. So these energy requirements have to be met. But at the same time, the climate change thing is also looming large in front of the government. Being a developing country, we really need energy. But at the same time, we have to look at the climate change. So various factors are affecting it. We have natural gas. Reliance has got natural gas wells in the offshore, the eastern part of the country, and we have laid out pipelines across the country to supply to various industries.
Thomas, I'm going to have to cut you off for just a quick second, and I want to get Gary and both of you back in, but we only have about 15 seconds each. Gary, what do you see for the future of your organization as you move forward towards 2050? And then Thomas, the same thing, but we got about 15 seconds each, and we have to be out. Gary? Okay,
I think for us it's really initially focusing on the coal bed methane market here, and then secondly our brown coal resources, and then I think expansion into other geographies where there's similar market conditions and environmental standards.
Thomas, you got about 5 seconds.
Yeah, that means this ARCTECH technology
as we create the Emerald Planet.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we're looking around the globe in 144 different nations looking for those 1,000 best practices that are making difference as we move through the 21st century. And of course, we're really focused on the people that are bringing change, looking at technology, collaboration, and innovation as we take old resources that have been used for the last several hundred years, the Industrial Revolution, and moving them into really the biotech and the nanotech aspects of the world's markets. And as we're doing that, dealing with the world's markets is how we're going to be able to provide everything that's needed for the 2 billion new people that will be joining us by 2050. We have a gentleman who's working on this in one of the really fast-growing, very dynamic societies on the planet, the country of Egypt. This is Dr. El Shal Saad. He's the professor of horticulture at the Institute of Horticulture and Agriculture in the Ministry of Agriculture, and also he has his own Egyptian-American company. Both of these are in Cairo, Egypt. He's going to be coming in by Skype, but I understand that will have his voice. We do have his photograph that you'll be able to see on this. And of course, right beside me is Dr. Damon S. Walia, who is the president and CEO of ARCTECH Inc., headquartered in Washington, D.C. So, Dr. Saad, welcome to the Emerald Planet TV.
Yeah, hi, okay, thank you.
We're very glad to have you here. Tell us a little bit about your organization, the Egyptian American Company, and then also as your work as a professor of horticulture at the Institute, which is part of the Ministry of Agriculture.
Okay, I have been working in Horticulture Research Institute Agricultural Research Center that belongs to the Ministry of Agriculture since 1966 until now. My work in this institute is on research, extension, and training, focusing on the natural problems in Egypt, such as clean agriculture, soil and water salinity, using some natural substance like ARCTECH to solve many of agriculture problems in Egypt. So this is about my work in Horticulture Research Institute. We also established the Egyptian American Company for Investment and Agriculture Development in 2003 to commercially sell the ARCTECH product in Egypt to solve many of problems of agriculture that facing the sector of agriculture in Egypt.
Now tell us a little bit about, for the viewers, because we're going global with the television broadcast, a little bit about the state of agriculture in Egypt, the population pressures, and then also maybe any insights as far as how you're using this new material, not only to boost the value of the soil and the nutrients in the produce, grains, fruits, and vegetables, but also maybe to address water quality at the same time.
Okay. Okay, in the last 10 years, we reclaimed about 1 million acres in the desert area using a new irrigation system like drip irrigation system, sprinklers irrigation, and the pivot system. In addition, we are moving towards more clean agriculture practices by following the European standards like Europe Good Agriculture Practice with the traceability system. So the government of Egypt has a plan to reclaim about 4 million acres in the next 4 years in the new desert area. We started already the first 1 million acre this year.
That's absolutely incredible. And looking at the population pressure, give the audience some idea of the current population base and what are you seeing, say, between now and 2050 in Egypt?
Okay. Now we are almost in Egypt 80 million people in Egypt or something or more than I didn't know the exact number, but about 80 or 85 millions now in Egypt.
Now, is the population still growing at a rapid rate as it was in the past years?
Yeah, it is still growing in a rapid or more fast than the last years. I think about 1 or 2 millions every year.
My goodness! So that's why you need to add some 5 million acres of new agricultural land into production then.
Yeah, so the only solution we have go to the new desert area because the agricultural land is very limited in all the valley like the Delta and the valley in Upper Egypt. It is almost about 6.5 million acre, and it is not sufficient to be enough with the 80 or something like that million people. So the only solution we should go to the new area in the desert to solve the problem of the foods in Egypt on the whole world.
Well, it's impressive what you're doing, and you're saying you're doing about 1 million acres a year, so that's absolutely incredible development. Yeah. It boggles the mind that you could be doing 1 million acres. That's a lot of land. Damien, would you like to go ahead and ask the next question, please?
Well, yeah, Dr. Saad, good evening, and
good evening, Damon.
Yeah, you've been really doing a phenomenal work, with the Actosol product we've been shipping from here. So just kind of, share your perspective and your experience, what it has done, and where do you see it's going?
Okay, Damon, thank you. So the organic matter is one of the most important components in agriculture, especially in the desert area. So traditional organic fertilizers can be contained unwanted material such as weed seeds, pathogens, insects. Our research in the last 10 years shows that Actosol is a valuable substitute to traditional organic fertilizers. Actosol, some results or the results indicated that Actosol increased the crop yield from 10 to 50% and enhance the crop quality such as taste, color, size, texture, and strawability. That means the fruits and the vegetable can stay more than 1 week in the storage or in the market more than the normal time of these crops. So Actosol also increase the plant resistance to the soil-borne disease that attack all of the plant, all of the root system of the plant, such as wilt disease, root rot disease, brown rot disease, and nematodes. These disease led to decrease the yield of the plant up to 50% or more. So Actosol can help in this area to increase the resistance of the plant to this disease.
Well, those are actually excellent results.
Go ahead. Actosol also can help reducing the chemical fertilizers up to 50%. This is a very important issue in our agriculture in Egypt. because the chemical fertilizers, there are a shortage of chemical fertilizers, about 50% of what the growers need. So ARCTESOL can help in this issue to reduce the uses of chemical fertilizers, mainly nitrogen fertilizers, up to 50%. Also, ARCTESOL can reduce water use up to 20%. In addition, ARCTESOL is made from natural materials and it's free from weed seeds, pathogen, and insects. And this point is very important to increase the production and to lower the cost of production in the agriculture in Egypt.
Dr. Saad, that's really a good summary of the change that you've seen and the impact, the positive impact, we should say, on the agriculture in Egypt, which again is a very dynamic country. It's important to the Middle East and certainly important to the world. We thank you for your work in agriculture and horticulture there in that very important country. We have about 1 minute left. Tell us a little bit about the future of agriculture in Egypt. What do you see? And sir, we have about 1 minute. Oh, wait a minute. We have less than that. We only have about 15 or 20 seconds. Sorry about that.
It is very limited. It is very limited time.
Yes.
The future of agriculture in Egypt, the big companies are now moving towards clean agriculture practice by limiting the use of chemical fertilizers as much as possible. Much care is given to the soil through careful selection of organic fertilizers to avoid soil contamination.
And thank you, Dr. Saad, as we bring you the Emerald Planet.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet TV as we come to you from Washington, D.C. on a weekly basis, looking around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are needed as we move through the 21st century. I'm the President, Executive Director of Emerald Planet and Director of Host of Emerald Planet TV. And we're going around the globe looking for these best practices. And we actually are bringing a variety of people in through this next show that we're doing right now. And so we're going to be highlighting, actually with Dr. Walia with us, India, also China, and as we say in downtown Virginia, we have a gentleman farmer here that's going to be coming on. So we have Brian Stetterman, who is the Managing Director of the Xinhai BH Fertilizer Company in Xinhai County in Hebei Province in China. We have Robert Lawson, who is the owner of Lawson Farms in Gordonsville, Virginia. And then again, introduce our special friend and good guest, as always, Dr. Damon S. Walia, who's the President and CEO of ARCTECH, Inc. So Brian and Robert, welcome to the Emerald Planet TV.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Okay, glad to have you. Brian, I'm going to go to you first, if you don't mind, sir, since you're coming the longest distance. Tell us a little bit about your company and why would you set up in Hebei Province, which I was actually next to just last week, and have some understanding of that area where you're located. Why China?
Well, the head office decided to go into China. We saw the privatization of fertilizer come to China and privatization of really agriculture. And we created a organic, inorganic product that had a humic acid base to it. It's a granular product, and we decided that we thought it was a good match. We were interested in China. This was back in 2005, and it was at the tip of the tongue for everyone in the know. And we saw the privatization of agriculture, and this product, which was going to be good for the soil. And back then they were all using a chemical compound fertilizer, which was really reaping the soil out of a lot of the organic nutrients. And so we saw this as being a good fit.
So looking at the work you're doing, and I'm going to just continue on as a follow-on question for this, what has been the impact that you're seeing over these years that you've been there, and how do you think, one, privatization has really helped agriculture in China, and then how do you think these innovative projects and products are actually helping to increase both the nutrition in the soil but also the nutrients going into the crops, the fruits and vegetables and herbs that are being created there in China?
Well, once we started with the product that we came in, and we saw the marketplace was really open to a lot of new ideas, and we saw that really improving agriculture. I literally witnessed it back from when we started in 2005, and then we moved to a powdered water-soluble fertilizer product that we're now really promoting now. And then over the last 2 years, and over the last year, we moved into liquid. And the privatization in China allowed for all this to happen by allowing all different types of new ideas to exist before it was very controlled. And so we were brought in the Actosol in particular, Dr. Damon's product, which we've been very happy with it last year. We brought it in, it came in the end of last year, and we've been using it this year to work with the water-soluble sector of the farms in China. They've gone into greenhouses with drip tapes, and they need a product that both offers as a fertilizer as well as returns the humic acid product and the organic product back into the soil.
I tell you, I think this is marvelous for everyone involved because being there, besides the air quality, food security is one of the number one issues that every Chinese person you meet when you're going out to dinner or discussing what's the next meeting. Food always comes up, as you know, in China. Yes. And they're very, very sensitive to that. And this is something that I know the government has been very acutely aware of and working on. So thank you for your leadership there in China. Robert, you're with us, I believe, and you have your own farm. What's the situation in Virginia, Gordonsville specifically, but Virginia generally, as far as the soils? And how do you see this new humic product being helpful to better the soils that we have and also the produce?
Thank you for having me tonight. Well, in the Gordonsville area where I'm located, I'm pretty much the only farmer that's using a liquid fertilizer. And in the state of Virginia, there are very few farmers that are using liquid fertilizer. Some are turning around, some are seeing the light. And we attribute really that to the ag institutions that they have pushed dry fertilizer and herbicide for so many years that it's going to take a little education to get the guys to turn. And for the soil to remain productive, they're going to have to change the fertilizer plan to improve the tilth. And by using Actosol, the humic acid, we've seen as much as 5 to 25 bushels per acre increase in yields. With today's markets, that could be anywhere from 3 to 1, 10 to 1 return on your investment. And we've been using humic acid now for 23 years. And I've been on a liquid program for 23 years. And it's just fantastic. I wouldn't think about going back. The soil is just a new life form, so to speak, with the earthworms, the bacteria. Everything is is pretty much back to the basics at that point.
And so, what type of increase in yield are you seeing with the this new humic treatment and using a liquid form?
Well, like I said, it was anywhere. It depends on the crop, anywhere from 5 to 25 bushels per acre, and that determines or depends on how new you are to the program. 1 to 3 years, you can be back to the soil will be at a natural state at high productivity. And there you work with, whether it be soybeans, corn, cotton, sorghum, wheat, barley, rye, any of those crops, that it just depends on how long you're going to be in the program to get things back to the natural state. At that point, it's pretty much the sky's the limit.
Now, looking at it, I'm going to continue on this question. I'm going to have Dr. Walia hop in here on the question portion of this. But looking at that, through the process that Dr. Walia has, as he's explained it, it sounds like this is really, even though it's coming from a cold source, it's really an organic material. Would that allow your farm to actually have the organic label? And particularly since you're able to mediate the soil within a less period of time, because usually it's about 5 years to remediate the soil.
I was certified. I was under certification for 10 years, and normally it's a 3-year period to get set up to be certified. The first year they call it in transition, so to speak, from herbicides and starting to wean the soil away. And the soil, believe it or not, I know this is a weird term to use, but it actually goes through withdrawal, just like coming off of alcohol or drugs, to come off of those herbicides and commercial fertilizers. And yes, you can be certified, use this product, Actisol, and in a state or a national certification. And it's fantastic. I mean, it does so many things that... it has its place there for the organic farmer.
That's absolutely incredible, and I'm really glad to hear that. And just like what Brian's doing in China, thank you for all the hard work and dedication and leadership you're providing for agriculture in Virginia. Damon, you want to ask the next question?
Well, yeah, Brian, I really appreciate what you're doing in China. I was so happy to come out and visit with you last year. And just tell us, what is the change which has really taken place in China from a very small farmer to now a very large production farms?
We've seen a lot of the collectivization of farming. Traditionally, farms were centered around what they call a unit of land in China is called a mu, and that's 1/6 of an acre. And a traditional Chinese farm would be 1, 2, 3, 4 mu, and so you're looking at less than an acre. And that's been very inefficient. It's inefficient in terms of fertilizer. The whole system is inefficient, and so we're seeing with a lot of the farmers moving to the city, and you're getting these large mega cities. You're having a lot of these villages start to go vacant, and there are farmers that are collectivizing, putting the farms together, as well as businessmen and government supporting to have one centrally managed farm. And now you're getting into up to maybe even 1,000 acres, 500 acres, even as 100 to 200 acres, and that's where we see it going. It's everything is much more efficient for us as certainly as a fertilizer seller. And there's it really makes that one person who's purchasing all the product for that 100-acre farm needs to be much more knowledgeable than they would be, than generally speaking, for a small farm for 1/3 of an acre.
Well, gentlemen, we're rapidly running out of time. That's always the case on Emerald Planet TV. We have more topics to discuss. So, Brian, if you'll go first, and then Robert, if you'll wrap up for us. What do you see for the future as far as the using this nutrient that Dr. Walia has created, and how to help remediate and treat the soil to increase production and food values in the future?
Well, I was just at Robert's place, Mr. Lawson's place, and he's got an amazing soil there, and that's what I want to see coming out to China. We want to see by improving the humic matter in the soil, turning China's soil back into that dark, luscious soil that they used to have back in the day. Used to put a chopstick in the soil, they'd joke, and it would grow roots. That has changed, but we're bringing it back. The government wants to bring it back. The farmers can see it, and they want to bring it back. And so by returning that...
let Robert have the last word. Robert, what do you see? Be quick.
with my method, farmers will get that soil back in the natural state, and with the soil balanced, the crops we're growing will be loaded with nutrients, and with the nutrients there we're consuming, we're going to be healthier.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, and thank you for being with the Emerald Planet.
Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, Emerald Planet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet, Dr. Sam Lee Hancock.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we go to a planet with 9 billion souls on it, how are we going to be able to provide all the basic infrastructure as well as the energy, the water, the sanitation, all the basic needs that this humanity will need as we add actually 2 billion new people over the next 30 to 40 years. So looking at this, we have a gentleman sitting right beside me that actually has a very innovative look at what's going on as far as how to use one of the natural resources of the world. Many people know about all the fracking that's going on and increasing the oil and natural gas, and people are moving away from coal as being an energy source, particularly in the United States, but many other nations. But this gentleman, Dr. Damon S. Walia, who is the President CEO of ARCTECH Inc., is actually moving to coal. And it's very interesting, Damon, the work that you're doing, and I'm glad you're here. Actually, we'll have some time to talk about what it is that you're doing. But tell us a little bit about this organization, ARCTECH Inc.
Well, ARCTECH is a company I founded about 26 years ago from one of the aerospace company in Washington, D.C. area called Atlantic Research Corporation. We were their environmental science technology division, had become involved with looking at coal, how to utilize and use the microbes. And so we spun out and formed this as a separate company to go and advance the technology and take its applications into many, many different areas.
Well, I think it's fantastic what you're doing, and it's so interesting that you've actually, as the world's moving away, and we know why the world is doing it, particularly in countries like India and China, Brazil, Russia, South Africa, other places. But at the same time, you're saying that moving away from coal and using, say, natural gas, but definitely the renewables like wind and solar, hydrogen and others is the way to be going. But yet there's a much higher value chain that can be developed from coal. So tell us, what is that higher value added for coal, and what role do you see it playing as we go through the 21st century?
Well, the reason I have chosen to focus on coal, I've dealt with many feedstocks, but I decided to focus on coal because this still is the cheapest carbon we have.
Let's bring up this slide if we can, because I'd like to have this going in the background right now while we're talking about this. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, because we're looking at all kind of materials, waste, waste materials from municipal waste or biomass, algae, and many of these things. Coal is one of the things which has been already made up for us. It's there. And
it's a true natural resource.
True natural resource,
and it's amazing. It's all over the globe, even though there's concentrations in the United States and like Australia and places like that.
Sure.
But still, it seems fairly well distributed around the globe.
Yeah, I call it that this is to be, this is an inclusive. If I were to kind of give you my little perspective. The oil and gas, some have it, some don't have it. So it's kind of divisive. We are kind of, facing this challenge worldwide. And the second, of course, the nuclear, is a, it has shown us its anger. So, but we need to tame it. And in fact, one of my product helps to make it safer. And the renewables are great. I think we're making a lot of big progress, but they are parochials, they are localized, and but the coal is available on every continent. And the slide you're looking at shows the amount of coal in all over. It's every place where there continent there is coal.
Yeah, it's just amazing looking at this, and if you look at North America and many other areas of the continent, I mean, it really is an abundant resource. But something that you have is this coal winning the battle of equity. What is that? What's the meaning of that?
Well, really, it's my, I guess, as I've tried, over the number of years to see what it really has been our big, issue, in terms of our humans. We have been in two battles from early on. The battle of equity of dignity, which is a personal issue. We get our dignity from family. A few lucky ones get from beyond family. But the equity of resources is a basic fundamental human necessity, and it's a societal issue. And the way I have a kind of different way of looking at things, maybe, and from the early inception, the first model was a strong man and a poor man. Strong man said, "I own the resources," but the poor said, "I'm here too," and he fought back. That approach, model failed. And then we had somebody said, "I'm born in such and such family, and by my family ownership, I own the resources," created a royalty and a subject. And they did not take care of. So that model failed. Then we had a landlord and a tenant scenario. Somebody said, by certain business ownership, I own the resources, and I'll provide it to you, but they did not. So that model failed. Then we created three forms of governance as a way to distribute equity. Our American model, the democratic capitalistic system, says here's a plain playing field. Anybody can come and get their equity as long as you play by the rules.
Yeah, looking at this equity, and we'll go back, I really like this graph you could put up here as far as the citizens of the world. You have the earth, and then you have the coal. But how does all this relate as far as the resource utilization? Because as the globe is warming itself in most of the areas, you're having much more violent climate change.
Sure.
It's really shaking societies all over the planet.
Correct.
And at the same time, we have all this greenhouse gas emissions into the environment. And what you're saying is, and it's really contrary to how people are thinking of things, use the coal to sequester even more carbon in the soils as a remediation. So how does this process work?
Okay, because just going back, we've not been able to win this equity of not only humans resource, but also our equity of planet is at stake, as you just described. And kind of showing that here we have 7 billion people, 7 of us, poking around on this planet, and we can balance it on the globe. So if you look at what is our must-have for us, that must-have is our cleaner air, food, water, energy, as well as shelter. And same way for planet, we must have a product, it's fertile soils, water, clean air on it. And then of course, our others are wants and desires for us humans as well as for our, the planet. So what I'm trying to make a case that the coal, basically we've been always looking at it as a fossil fuel, but it's not. It's a derived from the plant matter, and it's rich in humic matter.
So now tell us what is humic. This
humic
is a term
matter
that you use all the time, every time we chat.
Right.
But most people in the public are not really familiar with this terminology, and it's an old Greek term, but it's been around a long time.
That is correct. It's fundamental to our existence. The word comes from the humus. Humus is called soil organic matter in the soils, which what makes our planet to be viable. We've gone poked around in other planets. We found just about all kind of other stuff, but this is one of the material we have not yet found. This is unique to our planet.
Looking at this supply chain, how does that relate then to the philosophy of your own organization, but way beyond that, the philosophy as you see it that should be spread around North America and around the globe, of how do we expand and we enhance the value of coal, but we're doing it from the standpoint of reducing greenhouse gas emissions.
Right.
We're doing it to increase the value of the soil, but at the same time clean the air and water. How do you balance all of that?
Okay. Well, what really this technology lends to an approach by which you can not only create a total value use of the coal. So there is no waste. We create energy as well as non-energy products, not only from mine coal, but as well as from deep unminable coals. And so that these products can go into in improving the soil fertility. And what you're seeing on your screen right now is a photo from UN FAO's, where they are saying that our soils have been so depleted that with all the practices, the knowledge we have of the past 50 years will not be enough to feed the 9 billion people.
Well, we're talking about, and you and I have talked about this before, if you look at supposedly the research on the apple of 1940, the apple of, being in, the 2000s, is that you need 5 apples to equal the nutrients that was in 1940. And this photo here really exemplifies that. So how do we break that bond and move beyond so that we're actually adding value to the soil, but we're adding value to the nutrients we're taking in from both plants and animals?
Well, that's where my company is different. We're not only just doing a research, but we're putting these products into applications. And so again, going back to the soils, if you look at the total carbon storehouse of our planet, the number one are of course sedimentary rocks. Then we have fossil fuels. Then we have oceans. But the soils are the 4th largest storehouse of our carbon. And so we're creating ways to and promoting its use of these coal-derived humic matter into replenishing the soils, increasing the productivity. And again, our basic approach is that this products we make, this adds a value, creates a value for the end users. And so this has gained quite a bit of acceptance. These products are now in use not only in USA, but in Egypt, in China, and Turkey, and many other countries. So
it's amazing that you're already spreading all over the globe, and at the same time trying to educate more people within your own home country now, the United States, about how to use that. We're almost running out of time. Tell us about this good bacteria, and then we're going to go out on that.
All right. Well, the source of our technology is, the microbes are from the termites. What you're seeing on the screen is a termite model, which shows that it has ability to take a variety of materials, convert into gas, as well as convert into humic-rich products. That's the basis of our technology. This is what the microbes look like.
This is just an amazing photograph. And so tell us about this, and we only have about 30 seconds. Where do you see your organization going over the next, say, 5, 10, 15 years?
Well, we are, pushing hard to increase the applications, and in probably next segment, you'll note that we have gotten many regulatory approvals. But we're trying to get the whole world to look at this approach and see this as a way to forward.
Well, Dr. Damon S. Walia is the president and CEO of ARCTECH Inc., sharing about where we're going as far as actually moving back to coal, if you will, as far as a key natural resource as we move through the 21st century. Thank you for being with us on the Emerald Planet.
To the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. as we're looking for those 1,000 best practices, as we say, the best of the best as we move through the 21st century. How are we going to take care of a planet that's adding 2 billion new souls by 2050, and by the end of the century, there may be a total of 12 to 13 billion people. Yes, 12 to 13 billion. That's a lot of souls to take care of, to be able to feed and house and provide the energy that they need. And I have a gentleman sitting right beside me who's actually spent his professional career looking into how we're going to be able to take care, not only to just nurture and take care of the folks that are here, but actually to enhance their quality of life. And this goes to the source of energy. Even though we have to have water to exist, without energy, many times it's almost impossible to have the water, the food, and all the other sustenance that we need. This is Dr. Damon S. Walia. He's here in the studio with me, President and CEO of ARCTECH Inc. And Damon, it's been a real pleasure to get to know you, and every time I get with you, It's just almost like an encyclopedia and a history book all at the same time that you're sharing. So thank you for being so open and so knowledgeable.
Sure. Mm-hmm. No, I'm pleased to have this opportunity to share information with you and your audience.
And you know, the interesting thing about you, and this is what's been so intriguing, is that as we're moving forward through the 21st century and we're moving away from coal as a primary source of energy, you're actually going the other way and saying coal as a natural resource is really what we need to be embracing, but in a very different, novel, and unique manner than what we've looked at it in the past.
That's correct.
We've been looking at it, well, Industrial Revolution, we had to have it, everybody loved it. Then it's a nuisance, and now you're saying it could be the very essence as far as food and fiber and fuel as we go forward, and fuel in a very different way. So tell us a little bit about your company, ARCTECH, and then why coal as a resource that you feel that really should be embraced as we move through the 21st century?
Well, ARCTECH again is a company which has been focused on biotechnology approach for solving the problems. And my background, almost 40 years now, goes into coal. And I failed about 5-6 times in my career trying to tame coal with the traditional thermal and chemical technologies. So I chose to, take this approach of using biotechnology and developed a team and provided the resources to utilize these microbes to convert coal. And why coal? As I mentioned before, that it's the lowest cost carbon in the planet, and it's available to everyone, and it's something we believe we can tame, and this can actually give us a way forward for not only meeting the human needs, but also protecting the planet.
Now, looking at this, I know you have these portable units, and actually you're putting these in many different areas, but
Right.
Near where the cold source is.
Right.
And you're using, a special type of bacteria
Right.
and termites, which is a very interesting combination that you have. So tell us what these trailers right here, this type of process, represent, and then how is this actually advancing what it is that you're doing to provide a number of unique products that then is being shared all over the globe.
Right. Well, we're not using the termites, but the termite, using the microbes derived from the termites, what we had done was, as we know, termites eat wood, and we kind of trick them on eating coal by providing them a sawdust.
Do they go yuck, or they say, hey, we like this stuff?
Well, some of them survived, and we took the microbes out of the termites, and they are really nature's full gasification plants. And what you're seeing there on the photo is, I jokingly call it that this is a big termite. Because on the green one is where we have the front end, crushing equipment like termite jaws to break down. And then we have where we take a small amount of microbes from a research lab and grow them into bigger quantity, and they digest the coal to produce gas. And then any coal which is left over from the green, your emerald colored trailer or module goes into the blue one, where we have another group of microbes which are aerobic microbes. They digest that material and produce humic acid. And from that we make a product, one used for agriculture application, another one used for water treatment, third product used for using to convert bombs and explosives into fertilizer. So there's a zero waste. 100% of coal gets utilized. And we are operating a plant here in the USA, in Virginia, and you can see that photo of one of the product. Dr. Wolf, who is one of my mentors, got me going on coal for a number of years ago, is showing. We're shipping this product in large containers, shipments going into Egypt. It goes into totes and other, So it's a product which is commercially, in use.
Well, looking at this, and this is all the various organizations I've looked at and actually have approved the product and all that, but I'm going to skip back up here, going back to the actual production of all this and using the various bacteria from literally the gut of the cockroaches that we're talking about. So this is actually scalable, so you can actually take and make very specialized products, which we've been seeing here, but also it can be at a very large scale.
That is correct.
So you can help entire countries, like you say, you're shipping into Egypt and India and China
Right.
to actually address their need to remediate the soil.
That is
so what has
correct.
been happening over the last, say, 150 years that's caused this depletion of the nutrients and is decreasing the value of the very food that we're eating, both for ourselves and the plants and animals that we share this planet with?
Well, of course, Sunday, the whole human civilization has been, based on agriculture, and we've been, utilizing the soil, put a seed, and we germinate, and and out of that we get our food. So, of course, with the modern agriculture, there's been excessive use. But the humus, of course, it's is the fundamental to the soil fertility. It comes from the Greek word. And even I come from India, so I went looking into our Vedic literature, and I found reference to it that this is the soul or the juice of the soil. It connects the living, non-living to the living. So there's a huge importance. There's a worldwide scientist who've been studying the humic substances, but our modern agriculture has been based on using chemicals. And these really started after the World War II, because we had built large factories to make explosives and other of these chemicals, and so we achieved a green revolution, 50s, the combination of use of chemicals, other things, but nobody's been paying attention to the soils.
Yeah, and that's very unfortunate, because as you travel around the globe, like your home country
Right.
of India, there's millions of hectares of land
Right.
now that's lying absolutely fallow.
That's correct.
Because it's been depleted of its nutrients.
Right.
And then with all the irrigation, it's bringing salts into it. And so you're poisoning the soil at the very time when the population is expanding beyond even what China has, going to 1.4 billion people in India.
Yeah, so coal is the cheapest
So you
source.
got to have it. You got to have it.
Yeah,
so
so-
tell us about these plants that we're looking at here, and how is that a catalyst to expand so it's a large scale operation and not just a specialty niche product?
Right. Yeah, but what you're seeing there is our concept of building these biorefineries. One of the challenge in any biological processes are they're slower processes than a traditional thermal chemical. So I need to give a lot of time to these microbes to digest the coal. And so we have come up with this very low-cost monolithic dome construction systems, and I want to even put some solar systems on it to provide a little bit heat to the microbes. So these are relative.
That will actually then as a catalyst for them to be even more active.
Yeah,
then.
that is correct. Yeah. So
Okay.
these plants, we can build them cheaper, and they don't require billions of dollars of investments like these traditional coal-based technologies have been requiring. And so they produce all the products. The footprint is very relatively small, not a big issue. And you create a zero waste. So my whole life is around that. I don't want to create any waste. In fact, even in my plant in Virginia, only drain we have is the toilet. There's no liquid waste, no solid waste coming out of that plant.
Yeah, it's just amazing. And, we're talking about everybody's trying to reduce their carbon footprint, and people are looking at how much they're generating when they're in the aircraft,
Right.
and what they're doing in their own home,
Right,
driving to work. You're dealing in coal, you're saying, I have a zero carbon footprint.
Well, not only zero, negative carbon footprint.
Yeah, but looking at this plant here, this is really fascinating, this advanced technology. So you could actually locate these at the source of the coal.
That is correct.
In countries all over the planet.
That
So
is
this
correct.
could be in Australia,
Right.
in Argentina, and South Africa,
That's correct.
Brazil, all these places, and actually creating new jobs and an opportunity to take the product you're producing and put it right back in the soil in those very areas.
Right. Well, not only it's taking a mine coal, but also we'll build at places where we can then inject these microbes into the unminable coal. Because there's about 9 times more coal, which still is at very deep depths all over the world. And that's a tremendous resource we need to monetize.
Yeah, and looking at this chart, how does this fit into the schema as far as these plants are concerned, and then also how to actually extract? Because you're saying there's trillions of dollars of value locked into the coal.
Right.
As long as we keep burning it, we're never going to realize.
That's
so we're
correct.
actually wasting the
Yeah,
very
we are.
resource that we have.
Yeah, but only, currently with our approach, we're getting only about 30 to 35% of the BTU of the coal gets utilized, rest of it going out as a CO2. So it's a really very inefficient approach, but we need it. I'm not saying we should stop using coal right now, because this still provides us the cheapest electricity. But we need to transition to the newer approaches.
You're really doing this as a bridge, as I understand. It's like renewables right now. We're bridging from coal and crude oil, natural gas into renewables. There's always needs to be a bridge.
Well, I'm looking at this to actually provide a way forward for the seventh generation. As I shared with you, we have actually done an in-depth analysis to look at this approach, its impact on the Iroquois Indians' seventh generation-based principle, which is about 140 years from now. Mm-hmm. And so we believe that coal will continue to play a major role. It should, and people all over the planet should benefit from it to sustain themselves as well as enhance this planet.
Well, we're running out of time. We have about 15 seconds. What do you see for the growth of ARCTECH?
Well, ARCTECH will continue to be the powerhouse of the research, and we have created a commercial side of our company, HumeX companies. There are about 10 of them, and they will build these plants all over this world, and ARCTECH will continue to innovate, add new ideas and products.
Expand and grow. That's exciting, I tell you. This is Dr. Damon S. Walia, who is President, CEO of ARCTECH, Inc., Washington, D.C. area, as he looks around the globe and converting coal into new products, new value added to create new jobs as we look around the globe to create the Emerald Planet.